All right, we're back for part two. If you missed part one of how to build rock, paper, scissors against a computer player, go ahead and find that video. We're just going to kind of pick up right where we left off, but let's kind of take big picture first. What have we been doing? So I talked about using abstraction in order to build a readable program. Sometimes beginner level programmers like to put all their logic in the same place, and that can be very difficult for someone to come in and look at. So let's see if this kind of helps you understand what's going on. Our main method just considers one method called rock, paper, scissors game. So we just wrote that method title, and then we had Eclipse generate the stub for us. And then we have, how many games would you like to play? The games completed that we've completed so far are none. The games requested comes from the user. That's the scanner's next integer. And then we see this very readable loop here. As long as the games completed is less than the games requested, we want to look, right? We want to take the user's choice. It's either going to be rock, paper, or scissors. The computer's choice, rock, paper, or scissors, but determined randomly. Then we want to print the results based on those choices. And as long as the user's choice is not the same as the computer's choice, then somebody won, and we'd like to consider that game completed. And we loop, loop, loop. And then when you're done, you say, thanks for playing rock, paper, scissors. So you can see how writing your code like this really helps make it more readable. And if you're very interested in how the user's choice is prompted or how the results are printed, then you can go check that out, right? So let's build those now, and we'll continue on and see if this thing can function. So I like to hover over this thing. Prompt user choice is going to be very easy. It's going to return a string. We already know it. Java already knows that. Isn't that cool? And it knows it because it takes a look at this line of code and it says, hey, it's being assigned to a string variable. So this method that this person wrote must be coming back as a string. So it'll take care of that for you. But make sure for tests and everything that you guys know how to write these method headers without the help of Eclipse. Okay, again, not to mention, what's going on with private there. It really doesn't matter for us at this point in the year. So let's generate the user's choice. It's going to be pretty easy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print choose. Right, I'm just going to say like this, like as simple as this. So it's just going to be kind of easier to. So you may ask the user, for example, type in the word rock, paper, or scissors. You have to deal with spelling errors and all kinds of crap like that, right? So or someone, typing in a lowercase r, and then you got to deal with all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is just have the user choose based on a number, 1, 2, or 3. And then based on what they answer, right? So let's make the user choice number is going to be the result of the scanner's next int. And then based on that, I'm going to make a decision tree based on what that integer is to return different strings, okay? So it's going to be as easy as this, right? So if the user choice number is equal to 1, then we want to return rock, right? Right, now I have full control over that this is capital and it's spelled correctly and so on. Okay, so moving on to the next user choice. Else if user choice is 2, then we're going to return paper. Otherwise, we have scissors. We're going to return scissors. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So I want to make sure you guys know that you have to have an else here. Okay, you must have an else because Java is not sure, it doesn't. If all of your return statements are buried within conditional statements, Java will not be happy about that. So for example, let me show you, okay? Right now it's happy. Let me show you that it won't be happy about this, right? If I said, if the user choice number was, say, 3, right? And I said return scissors. Now suddenly it becomes unhappy. Do you see it? It says, hey, you promised you would return something. You promised. Okay, so we, instead of having all of these return statements based on a conditional, event, you just say else. Okay, and what's really cool about that as well is that any number that's not 1, 2, or 3 that comes back is going to be scissors. So you kind of deal with that problem too. So if they type 100 million, then it's going to come back as scissors. Okay, so make sure you have that. So that's how you prompt the user's choice. And look at how nice that it is that we put all this down here, and we never have to look at that up here. Okay, it would really muddle up this game loop. Okay, we're going to do a very similar thing for the prompt computer choice. Right, we're going to create the method, and it's going to be very, very similar. Okay, only we're going to use 0, 1, and 2, and because it's easier to generate that random number. Okay, so we're going to make the computer's random number choice. Computer choice num is going to be the result of a math random. Now let's just look at what math random does. Remember, math random actually finds you a random decimal number between 0 and 1, but never quite 1. So what we're going to do is actually blow this up 3 times as big. So now it's kind of a number between 0 and 3, but never quite 3, right? So it's going to be from 0.00 to 2.999, right? If we can just parse out the integer part of that answer, right? So let's just let's cast it as an integer. If we can just cast it as an integer, we're going to get either a 0 because it's going to be 0 point something, or a 1 because it'll be 1 point something, or a 2 because it'll be 2 point something. So basically the 3 choices that the computer can make are 0, 1, and 2. Okay, and then so let's borrow this logic then. Okay, we're just going to change a couple things. Let's borrow the logic from here, and you should be a little suspicious. Maybe that should be a sub function in itself, but since I think that because it's 0, 1, and 2, and we need to change these to computer, that we should definitely copy and paste it and not sub function it, because it's different enough that I can it's not totally identical. So there we go. So that's how we return the computer's choice. Now maybe sometimes I go fast and I'm going to miss a step. So if you see some, I promise I'll catch it in a little bit. I think we're pretty good. This is an integer from 0, 1, or 2. It's at 0 if it's 1. Otherwise, it's scissors. So now we have a choice from both the user and we have a choice from the computer. And now we just need to print the results based on those. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so let's click that print results. It's going to be a void method. It just knows it's just going to kind of complete this block of instructions. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to write just a line of code for the user, what you chose. And then let's make it some space here. You'll see why in a second. I think I've run into this problem before. You chose, and then the user choice. Concatenated on. And then the computer one is going to be almost the same, and you'll see why I kind of put that space up there, because it lines up a little bit better once you choose. Computer chose. There you go. Now these will be pretty close to being lined up. Right, so I can bring this back so that they are lined up. That looks nice. But I don't want this to be user choice anymore. I want this to be computer choice. Okay, now basically what I also would like to do is determine who won. Oh, I'd like to determine who won here. So let's go ahead and do that logic. So basically there are three branches depending on what the user chose. Okay, so if the user's choice is equal to rock, then we have something that we need. There's different logic here, right? If the user choice is rock, then they win in different cases than if they chose another thing, right? So let's go ahead and build out those 3 cases. If it's rock, else it could have been paper, right? I'm just borrowing all this. Otherwise, it was scissors, right? And just to make it more readable, actually, I'm going to fully do that part here. I'm going to say scissors as well. And it's going to be okay because we're not returning anything. We don't need that else. So basically, there's different conditions that you can win under for each of these. So let's fill out rock first. Okay, so if it's the case that the computer's choice is equal to also is rock, right? Then what happens, right? In this case, what happens? We get a tie, right? So we should print out you tied. Okay, so let's borrow this, and because it's so similar, else if the computer choice was paper, then I guess you lost, right? Because I think paper beats rock. And then finally, we're going to have scissors for the computer choice. And in that case, you actually won. Okay, so you can see that I'm running out of time. I will catch any errors that I may have made in this video at a later time. We haven't done any testing yet, so I'll find it if I've made a mistake. But let's continue on in the next video. We're going to fill out the rest of this print results method, and I'll see you guys in just a few minutes.